What's the first thing someone does when they stop loving you? It's not always the loud, obvious things, slamming doors, raised voices, or a demand to be left alone. No, it's often quieter, softer, like a shadow slipping across a room you didn't even notice was dimming. Love doesn't always leave with a bang. It fades in whispers, in moments so subtle you might miss them if you're not looking closely. And yet, those moments carry a weight that lingers, a truth that settles into your bones long before your mind catches up. This isn't about pointing fingers or staging a showdown. It's about understanding, about seeing the signs for what they are, not what you wish them to be. Because when love starts to slip away, it leaves a trail, faint but unmistakable, woven through shifts in behavior, a cooling of connection, and a silence that speaks louder than words ever could. In this journey, we're going to explore 5 signs, quiet, telling signs, that often show up first when someone's heart begins to drift. These aren't theories pulled from thin air. They're rooted in the real, messy patterns of human relationships. Decades-long marriages, partnerships built on trust, bonds that once felt unbreakable. By the time we're done, you'll have a sharper lens to see what's true, what matters, and maybe even what your next step could be. Stick with me to the end, because one of these signs, one that's so easy to overlook, might just change the way you see everything. You deserve clarity, not just from the people around you, but from yourself. So let's step into this together and listen to the quiet ways love says goodbye. Sign 1. The fading spark of curiosity. When someone loves you, your world matters to them. They want to know the small things, the way your coffee tasted this morning, how the rain sounded on your drive home, what made you laugh at work. But when that love starts to fade, one of the first things to go is their curiosity. It's not a dramatic exit, it's a slow retreat. They stop asking. They stop leaning in. Your stories, once a thread that tied you together, start to feel like echoes in an empty room. Take Sarah, 62, from a quiet suburb in Oregon. She and her husband, Tom, had been married for 35 years. Sarah used to come home from her shifts at the library and tell Tom about the kids who'd spilled juice on the picture books or the new historical fiction she'd shelved. Tom would grin, ask her what the little troublemakers did next, or tease her about sneaking a book home. It was their ritual, a small dance of connection. But then, something shifted. She'd start talking, and he'd just nod, eyes glued to his phone, scrolling through news he'd already read. "Aha," he'd mutter, or worse, nothing at all. One evening, she told him about a patron who'd cried over a memoir, and he didn't even look up, just kept swiping. Sarah felt it like a punch she couldn't name. He didn't care anymore. Not about the story, not about her day, not about her. That's the thing, when someone stops being curious, it's not just busyness or distraction. It's a sign they've checked out emotionally. They don't ask how your meeting went, if you're still upset about that call with your sister, or what you thought of the sunset. Your world becomes background noise, and you're left wondering when you stopped being the center of their attention. It's not that you've changed, it's that they've stopped investing. And that silence, that lack of questions, it's a quiet wound. If you're feeling unheard, unseen, ask yourself, when did they stop wanting to know me? Because when love fades, it doesn't just take their words, it takes their wonder. Sign 2. The erosion of patience. Love has a way of softening edges. It turns quirks into charms, mistakes into moments to smile about. But when that love begins to wane, patience is often the first casualty. The things they once brushed off with a laugh or a gentle nudge now spark irritation. A sigh, a clipped word, a look that says, "Not this again." It's subtle, but it stings, turning everyday interactions into a minefield where you're afraid to step wrong. Picture Margaret, 70, living in a cozy apartment in Chicago. She'd always been a talker, her husband James nodding along as she rambled about her garden or the latest episode of her crime podcast. He'd chuckle when she lost her keys for the 3rd time that week, fishing them out of the couch with a playful, "You'd lose your head if it wasn't attached." But over time, that warmth faded. One morning, she asked him to help her reset the Wi-Fi, something he'd done a dozen times before, and he snapped, "Can't you figure it out for once?" His tone was sharp, his eyes cold. Later, when she repeated a story about her niece's new puppy, he cut her off mid-sentence. "You've told me that already." Margaret froze. This wasn't her James. Or maybe it was, the James who didn't love her the way he used to. When patience fades, it's not about your flaws or their bad day. It's about them pulling back, emotionally unwilling to meet you where you are. Where there was once grace, there's now tension. You start tiptoeing, second-guessing, am I too much? Too needy? But it's not about you asking for less. It's about them giving less. That shift in tone, that impatience in their breath, it's a signal their heart's not in it anymore. Don't dismiss it as a mood. It might be the first crack in a wall they're building between you. Sign 3. The vanishing of shared time. Time is love's currency. When someone loves you, they spend it freely, not just in hours, but in presence, in choosing you. But when that love starts to slip, time becomes the first thing they withhold. They're not too busy, they just stop making room. The evenings you used to spend together, watching the stars from the deck, flipping through a photo album, turn into nights where they're anywhere but beside you. It's not a fight that drives them away, it's a choice they stop explaining. Consider Jack, 65, from a small town in Texas. He and his wife, Diane, had a routine. Every Sunday, they'd sit on their porch swing, sipping iced tea and watching the neighborhood hum by. They'd talk about their kids, the heat, or nothing at all, just swaying in sync. But then Diane started finding excuses. She'd water the plants instead, or head inside to catch up on emails. Jack would sit there alone, the swing creaking under his weight, wondering when she'd stopped wanting to be there. One day, she left for a walk without even asking if he'd join. He watched her disappear down the street, and it hit him. She wasn't just taking space, she was taking herself away. When someone stops loving you, they don't just reduce the time they give, they erase it. They linger in the garage, stay late at work, or scroll their phone while you sit across the table. They stop asking what you're doing, stop inviting you along. It's not about their schedule, it's about their priorities. And if you're the one always reaching, always waiting, that's a silence worth hearing. Because love doesn't just need time, it needs intention. Without it, you're left with an empty swing and a heart that feels it. Sign 4. The wall of emotional distance. Love thrives on openness, on sharing fears, dreams, the raw edges of who you are. But when someone's love fades, they start locking those doors. They don't stop talking entirely, they just stop letting you in. Their answers turn shallow, I'm fine, it's nothing, and you're left on the outside, peering through a window they've frosted over. It's not about secrets, it's about a connection they no longer want to nurture. Think of Clara, 68, from a coastal town in Maine. Her partner, Henry, used to tell her everything. How he worried about his son's job, how the ocean calmed him after a hard day. She was his sounding board, his safe harbor. But last year, that changed. When his old friend died, Clara found out from a neighbor. She asked why he hadn't told her, and he shrugged, didn't think it mattered. Later, when she pressed him about his quiet moods, he brushed her off, don't worry about it. Clara felt the distance growing, a cold space where warmth used to be. He wasn't angry, he was just gone, emotionally adrift in a place she couldn't reach. That's the heartbreak of emotional withholding. It's not loud, but it's heavy. They stop trusting you with their struggles, stop sharing the thoughts that keep them up at night. You're no longer their confidant, you're just there. And when you try to bridge that gap, when you ask, what's wrong? They deflect, leaving you with a polite stranger instead of a partner. If you're feeling shut out, don't ignore it. It's not just silence, it's a sign they've stopped seeing you as home. Sign 5. The retreat of touch. Physical closeness is love's quiet language. A hand on your shoulder, a brush of fingers in passing, it says, I'm here, I see you. But when love fades, the body pulls back too. Hugs grow rare, eye contact falters, and the space between you on the couch feels like a canyon. It's not about passion dying, it's about presence slipping away, leaving you cold in a room that used to feel warm. Imagine Ellen, 73, from a farmstead in Kansas. She and her husband, Ray, had spent 50 years tethered by touch, his arm around her at church, her hand squeezing his during late-night talks. Even in silence, they'd sit close, her knee against his, a tether of comfort. But after Ray retired, that changed. He'd sleep with his back to her, pull away when she reached for him. One night, she rested her hand on his arm, and he flinched, just slightly, but enough. Ellen stopped trying after that, not because she didn't want him, but because she didn't know if he wanted her. When someone stops loving you, their body knows before their words do. They stop reaching, stop lingering. The forehead kisses, the casual closeness, it all fades, replaced by a distance you can feel in your skin. It's not your fault, it's their heart stepping back. And if you're left craving a touch that doesn't come, that's a truth worth facing. Because love doesn't just live in words, it lives in the way they hold you or don't. Take a breath. Let these signs settle. Maybe one hit close to home, maybe they all did. This isn't about despair, it's about waking up. When love fades, it leaves clues, through silence, through absence, through the slow unraveling of what once was. You might have felt it for months, years even, but brushed it aside, told yourself it's nothing. But your gut knows. And now, so do you. This isn't the end of your story, it's a beginning. Seeing these signs doesn't mean love can't be rekindled, but it does mean you can't keep carrying it alone. Ask yourself, do I feel seen here? Am I still chosen? Your answers matter, because you matter. You deserve a love that stays, a love that asks, that listens, that holds you close even in the quiet. If that's slipping away, it's not your burden to fix single-handedly. It's your right to seek truth, to demand care, to choose yourself too. So what now? Maybe it's a conversation. Maybe it's a pause to reflect. Maybe it's a step toward something new. Whatever it is, let it start with honesty, because pretending is heavier than any heartbreak. You're not alone in this. Share what you've felt, what you've learned. Let's keep this space alive with real stories, real strength. What's one thing you're taking from this today? Tell me, I'm listening.